Hello, lovelies. Happy Tuesday out there. I hope everybody is doing well. Hi, Jane. Hi, Marina. Can you both just give me a little thumbs up or some emoji to let me know you can actually hear me? I did a little change on my audio today, so just want to make sure you can hear me. Hopefully you can. Awesome. All right. I see some hearts dropping there. So I'm going to trust that that means you can hear me. Hello and welcome. Hello, joyous day. Always a pleasure. All right. Great. Okay. So I do also realize there's a bit of a lag time with the audio versus chat, all the things. So I'm hyper aware of all of that. So let me say, first of all, hello, welcome. Happy Tuesday. I hope you all are having a magnificent start to your week. I know yesterday was technically the start to your week, but I don't think I start getting going in the week until Tuesday, if I'm being honest. Hello, Damon. Okay, so today I have a hard stop time, and I hope I will honor it. No, I will honor it. We have a class today in Life Alchemy Academy, Kristen Radden's class. Life is a Living Oracle. So I will have to stop in time to move my things and get myself situated for that. So I'm going to be really paying attention to time today. I'm going to do my darn best. Okay. Hi, Allie. Hello, Allie. So my name is Kyla Givehand. For those of you who might be new watching this for the first time, I have been on YouTube since 2012, maybe. I've had a channel since 2012. I am a bookbinder, a creative, an intuitive artist in lots of different ways. Intuitive creative, I guess, is better because my art is bookbinding and printmaking and lots of other things. I am multi-talented, multi-passionate. I do a lot of different things. I've lived a very wide life, which is why I have tons of things to talk about, tons of things I can talk about, and lots of things I don't talk about. So here, right now, what's happening in this month of, yeah, Damon says life alchemist. Absolutely. I'm definitely a life alchemist and a creative alchemist as well. I'm a business owner and a creative coach and business coach. I do a lot of things. I've lived a wide life, like I said. So this series for the month of April, I'm live streaming every single day here on YouTube. And this series is called The ABCs of Me. And it is based on something that I did a while ago. In fact, I realized I have this obsession with ABCs, and I'll say more about that in those extra days at the end, because there's only 26 letters in the alphabet, right? So, but there's 30 days in this month. So there'll be a few days at the end of the month where I will circle back to things that I didn't hit on in certain days and so on. But I'll come back to this whole ABC book thing and ABCs and all the things. But this series is about reconnecting to YouTube. It's also about, you know how you have so many things you love to talk about in YouTube? Well, not everybody does, because some people are super quiet and don't like to talk very much. I am not necessarily a quiet person. Those of you who've been here for 9 days and running, you're nodding. You're like, yep, nope, she's not quiet. I was raised by a very chatty Gemini mama, and who taught me how to speak up, talk, Kyla, say what's on your mind. She always was sort of pushing and pulling that in and out of me. So I do know how to talk. That is not something I am lacking in. And so, case in point, I keep going 2 hours long when that is not my intention here each time. That's not my intention. Hi, Marianne. Hello. So, all of that to say, this is really about reconnecting to this community over here. I feel like I've been neglecting y'all a little bit. And so now you get an extra dose of me. Um, my camera is being weird, so I'm going to just do a tiny adjustment there. Okay. Sorry for the shakiness. So I'm over here to connect back in with you all. Also to just, I want to share what I've been doing, why I've been so disconnected from this space. And a lot of it is because I've been over here living a very wide life, doing a lot of things, as one tends to do as a creative, and as a mixed media artist. I think we are constantly being inspired, seeing where the inspiration leads us. We are constantly trying new things, figuring out if this new thing will fit into the things we already love to do and how does it fit. I think where we get tripped up is we will dabble in something with the idea of, oh, let me see if this is something I want to bring into my world. And then when we decide we don't want to bring it into our world, we forget to take it out of our world. You see what I mean? Like we forget to go, oh yeah, that's not for me. I'm done with that. So here we are, doing this thing that I am doing this thing where I am sharing with you every day, using the alphabet as kind of my container to help me stay focused, because this brain of mine does not like to focus. It likes to try and do 15 things at once. And so I thought, well, if I give myself a little bit of a parameter by using the letters of the alphabet, that might be good. That might be helpful for me. All right. So speaking of that, let's talk about today. Today is letter I. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Yep. Today is letter I. Let's just make sure. Ooh, that's going to bleed through. Is that going to bleed through? Let's see. Okay. Where is the one I've been using? I like the pen, okay. So fun fact about me. When I get attached to a pen, like when I start writing with a certain pen, there it is. I like to stay with that pen. So for these letter I's, I've been writing with this Faber-Castell, and I kind of want to stay with that. My brain is like, wrong pen alert. All right, so today we're talking inks. Yay! And we're going to talk indigo a little bit. Intuitive things. Intuition in general. I think I had a list. I had another list. Oh yeah, let's talk about intentions. And oh, the big I, the biggest I of them all, imposter syndrome. We'll talk about that a little bit. And if there's any other eyes, because like y'all like to send me stuff after the fact, and that's fine. Please keep doing that. But also, if you're here live and you're like, Kyla, what about this eye and this eye and this eye? I'm up for it. If it's something I can talk about and like to talk about, I'll talk about it. But if it's something I'm like, yeah, that's not my jam, then I won't. I'm not a BSer. I'm not just going to talk about things that I don't know anything about. That's no fun. Not doing that. Okay. I think that's improv. Listen, I feel like my whole life is improv. I think that's pretty much the point, right? Yeah, we're all improvising. Okay, I'm just looking around on my table to see if there was something else I might have wanted to say. But I think, first of all, let's just say this. Inks can take up the entire time. So I don't actually need more things on the list. But if you have other suggestions or ideas, I'll take them. Okay, so, oh, I know. There was one other. idea overload. Let's talk about that a little bit. I also have a couple of questions that came to me between yesterday's session. Y'all were really pumped up about the human design. I got like 3 messages. I know that's not a ton, but 3 messages is a lot to me when there weren't that many people on the live. And then some of you, I think, were watching it on replay. So I will answer those questions in a moment. And I do have a question about fountain pens that I will answer that came to me yesterday, but before the live, and I didn't see it in time to do it yesterday. So I'll answer that question today, which I think is actually a perfect day to answer it because I'm talking fountain pen inks today. So that all jives. All right, so to get us started, like I've been doing every day, I've been showing you decks and pulling from a different deck. Today, I was like, okay, I know I have some decks that start with the letter I, so let's grab them. So the first one is the Inquire Within deck. I really love this deck. It's one of my favorite Oracle decks. Both of these are Oracle decks that I'm going to do. I love the box. I love the gold sort of embossing. Embossing was another thing I didn't talk about on letter E day, but it'll circle back at the end of the month. So I really love this gold embossed. I don't know, you guys can see the gold there, right? Yeah, you see the shimmer. So this one's really good because it's really a deck of symbols and symbolism, which I really love. And it's called Inquire Within. And it says each card is a reminder of the magic you already have in you. Then it gives you some suggestions on how you might use it. And we're just going to do what we've been doing, which I think is really cool. So let's shuffle a little bit. We'll just pull a card for us. What do we need to be reminded of about our magic? You all do know your magic, right? You are magic, magical, all the things. So, with that said, what do we need to be reminded of today about our magic? Ooh, finding balance. That is always fun. Finding balance. So whenever I work with this deck, one of the things I do is I look at the symbols that show up and I try to bring that into my art in that day or that week or whatever. So I want to invite you to do the same. We've got a flowery petal shape here in the middle. Also, the dotted lines around it almost give it that flower of life feel. If you know sacred geometry. I'm seeing a sunrise here. I'm seeing air element here. Damon, correct me. That's air element, yeah. This one with the line going through it. I always get it confused with fire. Double check me, husband. Thank you. And then I'm noticing, we've got these other sort of pointy, this diamond shape in the middle. So you might play with that in your art today, but also most importantly, the reminder about our magic is, yeah, we do have to stay in balance. To me, balance is all about alignment, staying in alignment. And so balance is a tricky word because sometimes I think in certain situations and circumstances, balance is actually not the best thing to strive for, right? But I think harmony is another word to consider. So finding harmony might be something to bring forward in this. Okay, I could spend all day talking about that. The other one is called the ID deck, and ID stands for Intuitive Discovery. The Intuitive Discovery deck. And this one is by, I didn't tell you who this one is by. This is by Kristen Drozadowski. Worthwhilepaper.com. Check her out. This one, The Intuitive Discovery Oracle deck is actually created by Sarah Lee Birch. And I'll try to remember to put both of their names and links in the description after the session. But Sarah Lee Birch, you can find her on the internet as I'm Not Tangled, and it's tricky spelling. So just put in Intuitive Discovery Oracle deck if you're curious. I love the cards in this deck. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me go back. Gold gilding on the side of this one, and here are some of the other images, just so you can see. Thank you, Damon. So these are some of the images in this deck, so you can just see what's what. I love this one. It's one of my favorite cards in this deck. I'm also realizing I don't use this deck enough. Ooh. All right. Okay. So I want to go back to this one really quickly because Damon did confirm for me that is air, the alchemical symbol for air down here at the bottom, this triangle with the line going through it. And so I want to just encourage you. Air energy is all about the air element when we think about it in astrology and in tarot. It's really communication, thoughts, intellectual pursuits. It is about all of our ideas, anything that has to do with our mind and our mental awareness. So finding balance in that place is also going to be important. Mental balance. Whew, we all need it. Okay, let's pull one here from this deck. This is all about strengthening our intuition. So we'll just say, what do we need to bring our awareness to around our intuition? What do we need to bring our awareness to around our intuition? Ooh, memory. I find those two working really well together right now. So first of all, I see a spiral here. That's the first thing my eye is pulled towards. You need to notice the first thing your eye is pulled towards. I also see a portal here. Whew, creative portal is, when I think spirals, I think creativity. And then she brings in memory. So remembering creativity is a portal. That's where I'm going with it. You've got to read it intuitively for yourself. This is what we do in Pull Pen Paint. Those of you that are in PPP, you should be reading that intuitively and getting your own hits from that, because the whole point of PPP is for you to learn how to trust your intuitive knowing. So I hope you are doing that right now in this moment, reading those cards intuitively. All right. So those two I feel work nicely together, especially since I added that piece for you about air being about mental mind, and then we bring memory in. I mean, come on. Also, she's got some beautiful symbology in here with stars and the moon. And she does this thing with sigils that I think is really cool too. Those of you in PPP, there are a couple of lessons on sigils, so make sure you check those out. But yeah, I think those are a good pairing for today. All right, as I do each day, I'm going to move those off to the side, but keep them out. Get these cards off my deck, off my desk, so I don't get ink all over them, because we are going to talk inks. Before we talk fountain pen inks, let's talk acrylic inks. I'm going to bring out some of my favorite brands to share with you. Ooh, baby. I have things everywhere. Oh, and sorry, I'm just reaching, stretching to bring you some. These are, I'm going to start with these because once I get into the fountain pen inks, I think I'm going to probably go cray. So let me try to pull out the non-fountain pen ink things first, and then we'll and then we'll go from there. Oh. Uh-oh. Things are gonna start falling all over the place. Okay, I think then I'll show you some of the things I like to do with my inks as well. Uh-oh, sorry for bumping the camera. Damon said also balance Ba plus Lance. Ba being personality in Egyptian cosmology, Lance being the spirit. Oh, I love that. I love it, love it, love it. Okay. Oh, yeah, I have to show you this one. This is one of my tried and trues. Let's see here. And okay, I think that's plenty to get us started with this particular conversation around inks. So I'm going to start with drawing inks and acrylic inks as the first part of this conversation, because I think that will give us a good place to begin. I'm also going to grab a few things. Okay, so let's start first with some of the drawing inks. My favorites in the drawing ink category, I'll start with these three for now. Okay. Higgins was actually the first drawing ink brand that I found. And I learned about this in a class. I took a calligraphy workshop. Didn't talk about calligraphy on day C because calligraphy isn't really something that it's not like drawing. It's not writing. I know people think it's just fancy writing. Calligraphy has a lot of rules, y'all. And I love a good rule, guideline, structure, order. But can I tell you that was too many rules for me? There's a lot of rules in calligraphy. Traditional calligraphy. Now, there's modern calligraphy that's like brush lettering and that kind of stuff. But traditional calligraphy is full of rules. It's full of rules, y'all. And so, yeah, it didn't stick for me. Is full of rules and it requires way more patience and slowing down than this double Capricorn can handle. Woo, baby, it's too much. So I'm gonna put these. I'm getting this weird shadowy thing happening, so I need to move these out of the way. Okay, that lets me bring that closer in. All right, so this drawing ink, I actually, like I said, I learned about it in a calligraphy class that I took. In fact, we had these little, not this one, but little things like this where we would take and drop the ink into it and dip your, nib. And it was really a beautiful class. It was so well done. The teacher was amazing. And yet it just didn't stick for me. So, and I'm okay with that. We have to be okay with letting go of the things that don't work for us. I'm going to bring a brush out to play with some inks. So yeah, drawing ink. This one comes with a little dropper tool, right? And I like this tool because you also can use it to like scribble with. You don't even have to dip into the ink or anything. You can just make marks with this little point that comes in here. So Higgins drawing ink, I love it too because it's super black. It is a deep black, and I like that because it's basically India ink. I'm pretty sure. No, wait, this one is not. Maybe. I can't remember if this one is 100% India ink or not, but something close and similar. So Higgins drawing ink, really great beginner. Price point is good, I think. Then I learned about super black India ink by Speedball. Love this stuff. And when it says super black, it really is super black. In fact, I love this one so much. I keep this little This is the first one I bought. So I keep this little container, but I actually buy it by the jar. Not the jar. That's a crazy word. The jug. I don't know. I don't have it up here in front of me, but it's a nice tall bottle. And so then I just refill this when I'm ready to use it. But it is an India ink, and I think I better, let's just let's do a thing here where I don't want my desk to be too crazy. Little crumbles start falling out, but it's a deep black ink. I'm gonna dip my pen in there. I mean my what is this thing? Paintbrush in there. It's a really black. I probably should have shaken that up a little bit before I dipped this in there. So you can use it with dip pens, where you take your pen and dip it in and use it to write with. Oh, that was not holding my ink very good. Right? Use it to make marks. Use it for sketching. However you want to use that. So, oh, well, hello, extra ink. This is what happens when you haven't used your materials in a long time. I have not used this dip pen in forever. It's probably clogged, and I'm not very good at cleaning them. Surprise, surprise. Okay, but I like a good ink splatter, so we won't balk at that. Okay, so that's the Super Black by Speedball. Then I found this Black Cat India ink. This is actually by the Blick company, so Blick Art Materials. This is their Black India ink. I'm going to shake it this time. I'm going to shake a little bit of that because I didn't shake my others. And it's a really good one. Also, you can always tell when I haven't been using these. I'm going to let those bubbles go down because when you shake it, yeah, it gets bubbles in it. So I'm going to let those bubbles go down a little bit. But you can see the sort of black, deep black in there. I know my lighting is kind of bazonkers because I have white paper on my desk. And that always creates a whole thing. But there's that black ink. This one to me is not as black. I think of all the blacks I have, that Super Black by Speedball is the darkest. The most consistently dark, I should say. All right. So even though they say they're waterproof, they are, but if they're still wet, you can do watery things with them. But the minute they dry, they do become permanent. And so that's really important. Hi, Roseanne. Glad you're here. I'm glad you can stay as long as you can. Yes, awesome. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to dip that in some water as well, which I probably should have done a long time ago. All right, so I have all my little used paper towels out for this event, for this moment. All right, so those are just some standard, but I think every printmaker, mixed media artists in general should have a good black ink that they prefer. I think a good India ink for like, dip pens, drawing, mark making, all the things, I think is a really good rule of thumb to have one of those in your stash. Shake the crumbles off of that. So those are my 3 recommendations: Higgins black ink, black drawing ink, Speedball Super Black India ink, and then the Blick Black Cat waterproof India ink. Those are the 3. Those are my 3 go-tos. Also, let's go ahead and talk about Higgins has a white drawing ink as well, also waterproof. And so this one is really good for when you need a white ink Again, this one I was introduced to this one for calligraphy as well. So Higgins has a black and a white. So check those out if you're looking for that. And then I'll just go ahead and go to white. A couple of other inks and brands that I like. Here is Dr. P.H. Martin's white pen ink. Really, really, really good. This one and this one can be used with technical pens. And I have a couple of technical pens. I don't in this moment know where they are because I don't use them that often. But Rapidograph is the brand of technical pens that I have. Maybe on letter day T, I'll remember to find them and bring them out. Probably not unless somebody reminds me, but we'll see. I'll try to remember. I'm looking around to see if I see them in my little container here. Hold on. So anyway, they come, they're called technical pens because people like engineers and architects use them traditionally. People who are doing really fine detail drawing. Hi, Miko. People who are doing fine detail drawing. That's what a technical pen is technically used for. But of course, mixed media artists, we don't really care what things are traditionally used for. We're going to use it for whatever we want to use it for. So with that said, you can use this ink with a dip pen, with your paintbrush, splatter, drip, whatever, right? But this one is a really good white. It's not as translucent as many of the other whites that are out there. Let's see if I can get it to show up on this camera. Whenever I have a lot of white paper down, it gets really dark on my table. So I'm just going to put one drop of white there and just kind of drag it out with my pen so you can see. It's a really good opaque white. Really, really good white. So really good for mark making, for all the things we typically use these for. It is good for that. Again, that's Dr. P.H. Martin's white ink. And I love it too because it's a waterproof white ink. I think. Let me double check that. Writes over dye and marker colors and remains white. Writes on untreated acetate. Dilute with water if necessary. Cleans with water. Shake well. Yeah, I can't remember if this one is... All right, so I can't remember 100%, but this one I know for sure is waterproof. This Radiograph white. And it comes in this. This is actually the little refill container. But again, you just drop it into a little container, little something like this, or whatever you have, a little cap, bottle cap, whatever you got. Drop it in. I use these tea light candle holders. When the candle goes away, I use these, and I just drop it in there, and then I can dip into that. So repurpose things. Y'all know how we do in the mixed media world. Repurpose things. All right. Okay, from there, I want to say, I'm going to move that out of the way for a moment. Another thing that I like to do is take that black India ink I showed you and pour it into a little eyedropper bottle so that I can take it off. It's probably going to drip. It typically does. Oh, it's not wanting to come off today. Okay. There we go. No, too much. All right, my little piece is not coming off the way I want. Probably need to figure out what that is about. Oh, it's probably stuck. So anyway, it has a little needle nose thing there, and I usually can like take it off, drip, drip, drip. Clearly, I haven't done it in a while since it's not coming off. So that's another way to work with your inks. And then lastly, these containers, these little empty bottles. And all of these little containers I'm showing you can be used with acrylic inks. Like for instance, this is a Payne's Gray acrylic ink that I have in here. And so then, you know, once I am ready to use it, it gives me this beautiful thin line that I can work with. Right? I can make dots with it. Like it just becomes a really neat tool for getting that paint onto your substrate. Okay, get in there. Ooh, where are my glasses? Hold on. Let me not pretend like I don't need these darn glasses. I do. Hi, Katerina. I love it. Well, I'm glad you're here. Good to see you. All right, so I got that back in there. Or good to know you're here, not actually seeing you. But I can visualize you in my mind. I know what you look like. All right, so these little bottles are also handy. You can put all sorts of inks in them and work with them that way. Okay, so I've showed you India ink, some white, some black. Let's talk about acrylic. Well, let me go to the other India ink. Bombay, the Bombay line is actually by Dr. P.H. Martin, the same people that I showed you the white pen ink with. But the difference is the Bombay ink is an India ink for sure, and they come in tons of colors. I have about 8 or 9 of their colors. They also have a really beautiful iridescent line. Here's one. Here's an iridescent black sparkle, so you can kind of see it's more of a silvery, but it is a black. You can kind of see there. Lighting's being weird, but you can see the sort of striations here. So black with silver mixed in. So it's the iridescent versions. So, and these specifically, they call them calligraphy colors. So I don't know. Yep, it says they're shimmering interference waterproof color. So those might be fun to try out too if you've not tried those. So the Bombay line of Dr. P.H. Martin is the India ink ones, and they have all sorts of colors. This is the sepia that I love and adore. It's like a brownish color. So now from India inks, we come over to acrylic inks, and the drastic difference between the two, really important. India inks, or let me go this way. Acrylic inks are acrylic paint in an ink form, which means they have that same plasticky kind of consistency there once they dry. Like they're not traditional India inks. They are acrylic ink. So very different. The brands that I love, Daler-Rowney and Amsterdam. These are my 2 favorite brands. I actually don't know if there are other brands. There likely are. But these are the 2 that I tend to purchase. Daler-Rowney is like my top favorite because they have my favorite color, which is, I think I shared this with you all before. It's the Red Earth. I have 1,000 of these. Every time I see one, I buy them because I'm scared they're going to run out or they're going to stop making it. And then Amsterdam is my second favorite. And my favorite color in theirs is this olive green deep. It is a beautiful green color. So the acrylic inks, again, you can use them just like you would use any of your other inks. They have these little dropper tools. This is actually a clear, I had a round sticker and I pulled this off the back of the sticker. So it's what's the word I'm looking for? It is non-porous, like it slides and glides. So I can take this and I can, you know, you can paint with it like you paint. You can use that dropper to drip, drip, drip all over things. But look at that green. It is just, you can't make it up. It's a beautiful green. So anyway, you can use it, you know, almost like watercolors in a way. Drop some drips on a little palette paper, which is what this is kind of like, palette paper. And then you can use that acrylic ink just like you would use watercolor, which is what I really love about it. And so again, it's acrylic ink, so it's going to dry permanent. It's going to be a permanent, it's going to be permanent when it dries. But as long as it's fluid like this, you know, you can play and do all sorts of things with it. You can also use your dip pen with acrylic inks. Just please clean them quickly after. Right, so you can use your acrylic inks, your dip pens, your glass dip pens, any of your dip pens. Just always clean it pretty quickly after you use it with acrylic ink, because once it dries, it might be difficult to clean it at that point. So clean it quickly. So here's a glass dip pen. So I can do the same thing with the glass dip pen. Right. Again, washing it off, I'm just dipping it in water off on the side here. So, and then using my towel to just clean that off. So play with all the things. So now everything that I'm saying to you about these inks, everything I'm sharing is also true for fountain pen inks. So let's shift. Let's shift to my favorites. Did I? Oh, wait. Sorry. Dang it. I got to show you one more thing before I can shift. There are some pens sold by fountain pen ink companies that are not for fountain pens, and they will tell you they're not. Okay, so one case in point, Dominant Industry. I actually won this in a giveaway on Instagram from them. And I love these darn things. They are gorgeous, gorgeous. So I'm going to show you the color. So this one is Mirror. And these are their, oh, they have a whole name for this line of these inks. Chrome something. Anyway, this one's called Champagne Gold. And there we go. They are just lovely colors. I'm going to put them on black so you can truly see them. They're beautiful. They're meant for calligraphy and for dip pens. They are not, I repeat, they are not meant for fountain pens. I repeat 1,000 times, not meant for fountain pens. So you can kind of see that gold shimmery. So they came in a set of 3. At least I won the set in a set of 3. Oh, that's what it is. They're called the Mirror inks. That one was Champagne Gold. This one is Hologram. Oh, man, they're tough to open. To get my little grippy tool to open them. So this one's the silver color. Now this is on black drawing paper. But they're also, I can see how they're making like a little, I don't know if it's coming off on camera very well, but that silver is almost doing a, I'm hoping y'all can see it. I don't know. It almost has like a, I don't know the word I'm looking for, y'all. So just let my brain catch up. And then this last one is called Chrome. And goodness gracious, they're hard to open. I don't know if that's just the suction of these little things or what. All right, so this is the one that looks like glass. Can y'all see that? It looks like metal in a bottle. It's absolutely crazy pants. Holy smokes. I don't even know what to say about it other than it's like metal. And I don't, yeah, I can't do it justice. Check them out. I'm sure they have better videos of their stuff on Instagram or wherever they show it. Um, but this is like mirror. It's like metal, liquid. It feels like what's the stuff inside the thermometer? Mercury. It feels like I'm holding a bottle of mercury. It's crazy. All right, so that's Dominant in Industry. That's their mirror line. 3 colors: chrome, champagne gold, and hologram. All right. Okay, moving on from those. Let's look at hold on. I need to do a little extra cleaning of this brush from that chrome color. I feel like it's gonna gunk up my brush. See, these are the moments when you're like, okay, you got to be careful. Let me use a little alcohol on it. See if that will clean it up a little better. See, that's the kind of thing where you have to have a dedicated brush for it when it's going to behave like that. All right, let's move on. So as I'm transitioning, I want to just talk for a moment about inks in general. I think that, all right, that's probably as clean as I'm going to get that. I think that inks can be a really good part of your arsenal as a mixed media artist. So I hope you're using them, trying them out, giving them the time of day. Put these back on the shelf here. Just moving things so I have maximum space. All right. Okay, let's talk fountain pen inks. I was thinking about this and like, I don't actually know where to begin or where to start with fountain pen inks because, well, you could take it in a lot of directions. And I think the best thing for me to say is fountain pen inks. I think of them for fountain pens. However, you can absolutely use them like watercolor. I have a few inks that I buy in the big bottles, but I mostly tend to buy inks in these little sampler because I like to have a lot of different colors. I like to see what colors I have. I like to be able to kind of play and manipulate them. This little container is something that I got originally from the Ink Journal. That's a company. And they were selling these, and they call an ammo for fountain pens because this is actually a box meant for bullet casing, like ammunition for a gun, really, right? So again, you know, we use things for whatever we use them for. But I love this because it's like the perfect size. I was like, whoever thought of this is just brilliant. So anyway, I have a couple of these cases, but I also have, that's loud, sorry y'all. I also had to get Damon in here to help me bring out all the stuff. I also have a couple of these that I used to keep out on my desk, but not so much anymore. These are, remember high school chemistry? These are to hold little test tubes. All right, so it's like a little test tube holder, but again, perfect size for ink sample, for the little ink samples. So I have 2 of these, maybe 3. And then these are the ones that are usually like in rotation most often, or my favorites at the time. So a really good way to play with inks is to not feel like you have to buy the big bottles, because sometimes the big bottles can be really pricey. So the best way is to buy samples. Many of the companies, the pen companies, let me say that better. Pen shops. So not necessarily the companies, but pen shops like Goulet Pens, Pen Chalet, Van Ness. They will sell the little ink samples, right? So because it behooves them to sell the ink samples, because then people go, oh my God, this is my favorite ink. Let me buy 2 bottles of it, right? So they buy the ink sample. So sometimes Goulet will have an ink sample sale. I go kind of crazy on those moments. So so there's that. For a while, I was keeping track of my inks. Excuse me, let me take a sip of water here. For a while, I was keeping track of my ink samples on these, on just little pieces of paper. These were, believe it or not, these were Damon, these were your old Cengage business cards when you worked for Cengage. Y'all know I like to repurpose and recycle things. I'm good at that. So I started on Damon's old cards, and what would that would have been like? I think they did their big thing in what was that, 2017 maybe? So probably around that time. And so I just started swatching. Now I'm going to go ahead and say it's cardstock. It's just basic old cardstock, but you can see the difference kind of when I ran out of his cards. Then I started using just watercolor paper that I cut to be the same size as the cards. And you can kind of see the difference because you get more of the gradation when you have something like watercolor paper versus just basic cardstock. So it gave me a sense of the color, but the cardstock is not going to do the thing that watercolor paper does. So fast forward in time. So I was doing that for a while. I was even making a note of like where I bought the ink from. Like I got that one from Goulet, and yeah, all the different things. So there's that. So that was kind of how I started originally tracking and keeping track of my colors and being able to see them, because I love swatching things. If you don't know that about me. And then did I start? I don't even know if I ever started using this. Which one is this? Yeah, I did start using it on this one a little bit. Nope, not really. Okay, so I can't remember who it was. Let's see. The Well-Appointed Desk. She is, you can probably still find her here on YouTube. She does a lot of pen reviews and a lot of things. I think they're still up and running. This has been some years, y'all. But she used to sell these, what she was calling the coloring ink testing little booklet. And you could make this yourself for sure. But the beauty of this is like this was letterpress printed, so you can kind of feel the rise, the embossing in that. But it's basically watercolor paper, 100-pound watercolor paper, or maybe even mixed media paper. But the ink takes differently on there. This is one of my favorite inks on the planet, and I hate that y'all can't. Yeah, oh, there it is. It's called Walden, and it's by a company called Organics. Look at that color shift, sheen, beautifulness. Oh, so good. So anyway, I have no idea why that is like sitting in the middle of this whole, the middle of this whole thing, and nothing else is done. So I never did. I have 2 of them, and I never did actually start using them. So maybe this is my sign to bring those back into my world and start using them. All right, so that's now then inks started to, I'm gonna go ahead and just leave those in there so I'm not looking for them. Let me see what my other one looks like here. Hold on. Ink started to overflow in my life. Yeah, okay, so that one doesn't have as many as the others. All my little tools for working with my inks are in here. All my eyedroppers, all of my little syringes, all my little pipettes that I use for working with ink, syringes for refilling things, eyedropper tools for the eyedropping pens I mentioned on Fountain Pen Day. This goes with the Pilot parallel pens for cleaning, but you also could use it for ink. So yeah, all of my little tools that I use when I'm doing, when I have a big ink day where I'm changing inks out in my thing, I use syringes to get ink into little cartridges that I'm refilling. In fact, if there's time, I might do a little bit of that in a moment here. We'll see. So, where was I going? Where was I going? All right, one other really great way to get a bunch of inks at once is to do the ink advent box around Christmas, usually in that November range. Hi, Suzanne. Good to see you. The ink advent is just what you think, like advent calendar, one day a different ink, every day a different ink leading up, you know, for the month of December pretty much. And it is a hit. It started about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. And holy smokes, I mean, you get little bottles of ink. I'm going to show them to y'all. So they're a little different. They're a little different than the little ink vials that I just showed you here. They're a little different than those. A little more ink than those. Hold, please. These are more ink samples, so let me get those out of the way. I don't know why. This is what happens when Goulet Pen or Van Ness or any of these companies have an ink sample sale. It's ridiculous. It's almost like you can't say, well, I can't say no, apparently. But also, y'all, this is years of ink collecting. This is not like, this is years of ink. This is not like one purchase. This is like 10 years of ink. Okay, so let's just be clear. I don't want anybody like, oh my God, Kyla, you bought all that ink at once. No, I did not. It is not that. So ink advent, you get these little bottles like this of ink. You get one a day. Well, you get the whole set and then you open it one a day. Or if you're like me, you forget to do it. And then in January, you just open all of them at on the same day. But they're usually very themed to the holiday. And they have all sorts of inks in them. Everything from basic inks to shimmering inks to inks that have sheen, chameleon inks. Sometimes they put it on the side what they are. That's a shimmer. That's a standard ink, right? So you get all these little colors that you get to try. And the thing about it, on the last day, there's always a big bottle. There's always a big bottle on the last day. Oh, and I should say this is by the company Diamine. Diamine is the company that does the ink advent calendar. And so this is 2 years worth. I have a third year that I don't remember where did I put the third year? And then I have a fourth year that I haven't opened yet. That's from last year, from this past 2023, that I haven't done yet. So maybe I'll do a little swatching of that for a swatch with me Sunday. I haven't done one of those videos in a while. So as you can tell, I use cotton Q-tips to do my swatching of my colors when I'm doing this ink advent thing. And because I am the nerd that I am, let's put all these back for a moment. Y'all, I have so many inks. It's crazy. I'm sitting here even questioning myself right now. I'm like, girl, get to using some of these inks. And also I buy, for instance, some of these colors from the ink advent calendar. Some of these colors you only get in that advent calendar. Every now and then they will take one that people really loved and they will put it in their regular rotation. When that happens, I grab samples of it so that I have several. I mean, it's ink. It's not like food. It isn't going to, it's not going to go bad, right? So let's move that out of the way and show you my other beauty, my other love. Hold on. Can't remember where I have it. Yep. Okay. So this is a Strathmore journal. And this is my little ink sampler journal. Now, in my infinite wisdom at some point, I was like, oh, I'm going to try to keep all the colors together in the same color family. Yeah, no. That lasted for about a month. But I did really good. So these are just, I take those Q-tips, dip them in, and I do a little swatch. And then sometimes I'll drag out that color with the, so this is the color, pure color. And then I'll drag it out with water here to see how it plays if I use it, you know, more like a watercolor. And some of them play nicely as watercolors, like they pull out real nice. Some of them, it's just like, nah, I'm just dark and I'm going to be dark and I'm not doing that watercolor thing. It just depends. And so that's how I've kind of done this. This is the pure ink. This is it drawn out with a little bit of water, like, you know, pulled out with water. Some of them do amazing things when you add a little water to them. This is one of my favorite inks on the planet, J. Herbin's Emerald of Chivor. I think I have a big bottle of this because I love it that much. It is this beautiful shimmering that I don't think it's going to translate on camera. Let's see. You can kind of see the shimmer there, just a tad bit. It's a really beautiful color though. So this is my little ink journal where I'm testing and playing with inks. And let me tell you, some colors are better as like a watercolory type thing and not as a fountain pen ink. This Diamine Sunshine Yellow is beautiful. Like I'm looking at it right now and I'm remembering like it's this beautiful vibranty yellow orange. That does not translate in a fountain pen. Because fountain, you got to remember your line is really thin, right? Even in my boldest, fattest nib, it doesn't translate like this. It doesn't come out that bright yellow. It comes out more like this yellow with the watery, right? So again, a reason to swatch your colors so you can kind of see what they're doing. So yeah, this is when it all started to fall apart, the whole keeping all the colors together. Yeah, that didn't work. It was a great idea in theory, but not realistic. So I love doing this because I also can look back at this and go, okay, so let me back up and say, I am of two minds. Sometimes I like my fountain pen color to match the pen that I'm working with. Sometimes I like the color to be a total opposite. So I might take a blue pen and put a purple color in it or put red in it, right? It just depends. Like, depends on the mood I'm in. More and more these days, I'm matchy-matchy. Where I run into problems with the matchy-matchy, meaning match my pen to my ink color or match my ink color to the pen color. Where I run into problems with that is for my yellow pens and my white pens. So in those instances, I try to go like unexpected. And so all that to say, the beauty of having this is I can just flip through and go, okay, I'm really wanting a purple or a bright pink, or some sort of blue or whatever, right? And I can flip through this and kind of see my colors that I have. This is one of my absolute favorite colors too. KWZ ink, Northern Twilight. It is like this black blue. I don't know if it'll translate well on camera, this one, but it is, whoo-wee. I love that ink. So yeah, this lets me see all my inks and what they're doing. I also started, I stopped doing the, one left hand side was one thing, right hand side was with water, because I was like, that's taking up a lot of space. So I then switched to doing it where I just do the pure color and then I drag it out from the bottom with a little blue. And I actually like the way that looks on the paper a little better because it lets me see that sort of gradation really easily. So lots of inks. Here are my 2021 ink advent. So those little bottles I just showed you. That's those. And then you saw that I marked them on the top with numbers because that's what I did. That is not, the company does not do that. I do that. Just take a white China marker and put the day, i.e. the color, the number. So that's day 11. Appletini. And I don't think it's from this set, but because, yeah, day 11 on this set was raspberry rose. But again, just, and then I kind of track my thoughts on the colors, which ones I really like. Too blue, too bright, too this, that, right. I just play with that. This vintage copper. You can't see. I hate that it doesn't translate on camera very well. My lighting and all the things, but this is some beautiful shimmering ink right here. Stargazer, beautiful, beautiful sheening ink. So then that's the 2022. See, number 11, Appletini. So I can just look here, go into my box. Okay. This Deck the Halls. Gosh, I wish y'all could see that. It has this gold. There it is a little bit. It's got this gold shimmer in it that is stunning. So beautiful. So yeah, this is, I don't know. I think that's about where this one might stop. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's where this one starts. So the stops. So the 2023 I'll be doing on this page next, the 2023 ones. Okay, so that's my little ink journal. I showed you some samplers. So I will, let's see. Excuse me. I mentioned the J. Herbin Emerald of Chivor. Look at that bottle. A lot of people, a lot of fountain pen folks collect ink based on the bottles because they like to collect the bottles. You'd be surprised. I know you might be like, really? The bottles? That's what they care about? Yeah, some people collect the bottles. There are some really unique, interesting bottles out there. But this one is one of those. So you can kind of see that. Can you see that shimmer in that? Man, this ink is, I think this was one of my very first shimmer inks that I ever bought. And whoo, baby, love it. The thing about it, though, you can't leave it in a pen forever. Like, you've got to go ahead and write with it. Don't leave it in the pen for months and months and months at a time, because all that the stuff that creates shimmer in ink can get clogged up in your pen. Here's another something that I got. I don't remember where I got this from. I think it came with something that I purchased, but it's a little color swatch sheets, maybe. It says 20 sheets. And I guess it's got the little ink sampler vials on it, and you can, paint it in and then write it out. I haven't used them yet, but so I don't know how good they are. But this is also a way to sort of swatch your inks. Trying to think of what else I want to show here. So I'm showing you mostly inks that you would then dip your pen into and draw up your ink into your vial and all of that. But you also have, keep a little bag here. You also have inks. For instance, Lamy has a very special ink. Y'all already know I talked about Lamy on F Day, Fountain Pen Day. So, of course, if I have all the Lamy pens, I also have all the Lamy inks, right? Not all of them, but a good number of them. But Lamy has what is called proprietary cartridges. Their cartridges only fit their pens. They don't fit in other pens. And their pens cannot take other pen cartridges. If you're going to use a cartridge, you've got to buy their cartridges. However, there's always a workaround. In fact, let's see if it's this one. Nope, that's a converter. I might have, this one. Yeah. So this one, because I wanted this to have black waterproof ink in it, I used up all the ink in the original cartridge. And then I took my syringe that I showed you in my little pen box, filled it up with Diamine's document ink, waterproof, and put it in this, and then put this back in here. So you can reuse these once they're empty. You can reuse them. That's, at least that's what I do. I reuse them by putting in the ink that I want. So I can take any ink out of any of those little vials and put in here, even if Lamy doesn't make it in the color that I want. So, so that's always an option as well. So let me see. So yeah, you can buy cartridges. There's tons of colors when you start thinking about the cartridges, right? So all of these that I'm showing right now are just Lamy, but every company has their own little brand. There's some Pilot. Waterman has theirs. Every company, the Vaco, every company has their own, right? So you can play around, you can mix and match for the most part. Most of them have a what's called a universal or standard, but yeah, not everybody, because Lamy cannot take those universal ones. Lamy can only take Lamy cartridges. All right. What else can I say to you about ink? Let me show you a couple of my favorites. If you are a mixed media artist and you want to work with an ink that is waterproof, a good one is the Carbon ink by Platinum. You can get it in cartridges, but Platinum is another one that their cartridges only work in their pens. But you can also buy a bottle of it so that you can take your pen, dip, draw it into your pen, and use it in any pen. So that is a waterproof ink, which I really like. I get that from Amazon. Sorry, I'm looking. One of my other favorite, I talked about Franklin Christoph pens. They also have inks that they do. This is their graphite ink. I haven't used it yet. You can see it's still, this is how they package it when it comes. They shrink, right? They kind of put a sort of tape thing over this so it doesn't spill in transit to you. But I think I'm going to like this graphite. I saw samples of it on their feed, and man, it looks really good, like a sort of grayish, almost like pencil, like a 4B pencil, right? Graphite ink. So they have a bunch of different inks. My favorite of theirs is called Honeycomb. It's like a golden sort of brown. Those of you that have been following me for a while, give me a second here. You've likely seen this guy. This is my, again, this little traveler's notebook thingy is made by Franklin Christoph. Can you not tell I'm a fan of them? But I have this little, I have 3 of these. That's volume 3. But my little fountain pen ink log. So I've been working through these for a while. So whenever I would get a new pen, or whenever I get a new pen and I ink it up for the first time, I go through and I write out the pen, the nib size, the ink that I'm filling it with, so that I can have a sample here, so that when I come back to refill this pen, if I decide I want to put the same ink in it, I know exactly what ink it already had. So this is just another sort of tracking tool. If I'm going to change the ink, right, then I can see what I changed it to and so on. And so some of these pens I don't even own anymore. I either sold them or gifted them. But that's volume 1. Then there's volume 2. And I try to keep a list of page number, which pen is on which page. So when I'm like, oh yeah, I need to redo my speedball calligraphy pen, what ink did I have in that? Then I can just go to page 18 and find it. Boom. Right. So that's what these are. And that's what these, and I got these from another pen enthusiast. She was making them in her Etsy shop, and she was like, I don't know how long I'm going to make these. I was like, oh, send me 3. Now I'm wishing I had said, send me 5. But I still have, no, I'm running out of space in here. I'm going to have to see if she still makes these, because they're on Tomoe River paper, the best paper for fountain pen, testing, using, writing, all the things. That Acrylic orange, best orange ink on the planet. Vibrant, beautiful ink. And it has this it's the perfect orange pen or ink. That's the other thing. Like once I find an ink color that I'm like, there's not going to be a better orange than this, I don't need to buy. That's the orange forever and always. In fact, I think, and I'm looking at the time, I got 10 minutes. All right, maybe I have 14 minutes, 15 minutes. Maybe I'll go to 45 after. Speaking of pen bottles, this is one of the more like eclectic pen bottles. This is Ackerman. I think, yeah. Yep, this is the Ackerman orange. Notice how it was empty there, and then I turned it sideways, and it filled in here. This bottle, this little circle moves, fills this top, and then that's where you dip your pen ink. You dip your pen just into this part. It's such a neat little contraption. I love it so much. But that's my Ackerman ink. And so this is what I mean when I say people collect pen ink bottles. Yeah, that kind of thing there. They also have a really good green that I love. Ackerman does. So I'm looking for a particular bottle of ink that I am not finding that I wanted to show you all. Oh, is it this one? Yes. This company doesn't get enough, I think. They don't get enough props in terms of waterproof inks. But it is also likely, I don't know. They're a German brand, I think. Roher and Klinger. And this particular color is their graphite, I think. Let's see, what does it say? Should tell me on here somewhere. Maybe not. I think it is the graphite color. It's like a dark gray sort of color. But it is waterproof also. And they have a black, they have a bunch of different colors, but this one is their graphite color. Roher and Klinger. So the ones that mostly we talk about when we talk about waterproof inks for fountain pens, diamine. I'm sorry, not diamine. d.r.i.t.s. They have one called Document ink. They have several colors. I think they have a red, a blue, a green, and a black. They might even have a brown, but I only use the black, and it is beautiful. When it dries, you can go over it with watercolor. You can go over it with paint. Like it's one of those that if you're going to sketch with things and you want to have be able to come back in with watercolor, you want a waterproof fountain pen ink for that. Carbon ink by Platinum is the other. And then these inks by Roher Klinger would be the third. Those would be my 3 suggestions. My go-to company for shimmer inks is always going to be Diamine. They have a whole line of shimmer inks that they do. They are, in my opinion, they have perfected the art of the shimmer ink. So diamine for shimmer inks. And then when you want a workhorse ink, just go all the way back to the beginning of fountain pens. Schaefer, Waterman, Mont Blanc. Those are going to be solid pen company standard sort of inks that aren't necessarily fancy shimmery doing all the things. Okay. When you want to go way outside the box, go to companies like Krishna. Let's see. Krishna inks. They have this bronze leaf ink that I think is really gorgeous, really beautiful. It's not a shimmer ink, but it's just it's a little, you know, they're not the standard sort of ink company, I would say. Not in the US anyway. And then when you want to go way, way out of the out in left field, this company is becoming more and more popular, but at one point they were not very popular. They're called Pen BBS. Pen BBS. They're an Asian company. I'm not sure if it's China or Japan, but they, honey, they got some shimmer going on in their inks. It's crazy pants. However, what I found with these, you can't leave them in your pens long. So it's not for like a pen you don't use very often. But when I tell you they are giving diamine a run for their money in the shimmer department. Pen BBS. They have some beautiful colors. And in case you're wondering, these little things are page reinforcers. Little circle reinforcers. I just put the ink on them, peel them off the sticker, and put them on here so that when I'm looking down into my ink container, I can see what color I'm grabbing if the company hasn't already done it for me. So that's why I have those little circles on there. Excuse me. Okay, I think that's it. I talked about shimmer inks. Standard inks, again, I'm just going to reiterate. For standard, workhorse, strong, sturdy, durable inks. Schaefer, Waterman, Mont Blanc. And I would even take, if I could only do 3, I would take Mont Blanc out and say Pilot. I would actually go with Pilot. Yeah, because they've been around for a bit and they're pretty trustworthy and you know what you're getting with them. Okay. New companies that I love for inks. Ferris Wheel Press. They are a Canadian company. Beautiful packaging. They do some beautiful things with their packaging. I think I've done unboxings of their stuff before. But their inks come in the cutest little bottles. They got all sorts of different ones. Like that's one little bottle. There's another. So they have these really neat campaigns that they do. Like they had one that was all about the Alice in Wonderland sort of series. Fairy tale series, I think. And so this one was called Cloak something. What was the name of this one? Cloak and Forest. And this was the Fairy Tales collection. And again, their inks are the kind of inks that you want a thicker nib so that you can see the sheening and you can see the shimmer in them. Whenever I'm using a shimmer ink, I'm going to use a broad nib so that I can actually see my line playing out. So yeah, Ferris Wheel Press. They also have some, all right, so here's me answering the question that I got about fountain pens. This is a good segue and maybe a good way to end for the day. And I know I didn't get to talk about indigo, intuition, imposter syndrome, and all the things. I will do that on those last days when we have extra time. I'll come back. and revisit the things that I didn't get to talk about today. Oh, shucks. I didn't say Sailor. Add Sailor inks to the workhorse inks. Sailor, Waterman, Schaefer, and Pilot and or Mont Blanc. One of those. Okay. I have to add Sailor in there because yeah, they're a good company and they've been around for a while. And their inks are really great. So I did get a question about fountain pens. If I could show some pens that are less expensive than the Lamy and Twisbys that I said were kind of like, you know, good price pens. So I'll show Ferris Wheel Press, and I feel like they're not that much less, but a little bit less than a Twisby or a unless you get, I mean, they have multiple pens you can buy from them, but lots of good colors. The thing about them too, sometimes they will make a limited color. I actually feel like I have a link for them somewhere, y'all, that's like a 10% off link or something for y'all. I will see if I can find it. So these are, I can't remember what they call them, the carousel pens. And so the carousel pens are, I think, a good pen that is, you know, inexpensive. I think it's a twist off. Nope. Let's see. No, it's a pull off. I'm like, is it twist or pull? So it's a very lightweight pen. And again, you have to be comfortable with lightweight pens. I tend to like, hang on, y'all. I need to adjust my lighting. My blinds here are driving me crazy. All right, it's a little bit better. Wish I had done that a while ago. So the carousel pen is a lightweight pen, comes in lots of colors. I got a sage green one here. There's a pink one. I think they have there's a little cream color one. Right, so this is a good, I think, beginner-friendly starter pen. I think if you dropped it or something, you wouldn't be too disappointed because I think it's definitely under 30 bucks. Okay, so there's that. And I think I actually have one of these that I'm going to be giving away. It might be that pink one right there. I gotta think about that. Sometimes I'm like, Kyla, bring more pink into your life. So that's a good one. Kaweco, they're good, I think. I don't really, I struggle with their pens a little bit because they are so super light. However, now I don't know prices, and it can change, y'all, depending on the company where you buy it from. Okay, that also can make a difference. I'm looking for a pen here to show. I'm not finding it. Ah, there it is. My favorite Kaweco of all times is this little, I call it my unicorn pen because it has this beautiful shimmery iridescent kind of color to it. And so the Kaweco has this, you know, they're little, they're lightweight, they're meant to be pocket pens, like you put them in your pocket and go, right? They're tiny. But I really love this one because it does have that shimmery unicorn kind of look to it. So their pens, I don't remember what this one is. I haven't even used it. Had it. Oh, this is the red and white one. So yeah, they have a lot of colors. They're also a company. A lot of people collect Kaweco because you can get, I mean, they have 1,000 colors, literally. Okay, maybe not literally, but also I think they do limited edition, limited run colors. And so people are always like, oh, I got to get that one. They have colors that they only release in the US, only release in, you know, Germany, only, like they have special things that they do. And so they are a pen collector's friend. If you are someone who collects Kaweco, you likely are following all of that. right? Just like I am with Lamy. They did come out a couple of years ago with a pen called Perkio, I think, the Kaweco Perkio pen. And I really like it. It's bigger, it's heavier weight. It's a more weighted pen. I like good weight in my pen. So the Kaweco Perkio, I want to say the Perkio is in that under $30 range, and it comes in nice, interesting colors. Very similar to the carousel pen, but bigger. You can see that this is the carousel in the middle, Ferris wheel press. So a little bit bigger than that, and definitely bigger than their standard, their usual. I think they called this maybe their sport line, Kaweco Sport. Yeah. Okay, one other. TWSBI does have a pen called the TWSBI Swipe that I think, I want to say it's a little cheaper than but it could be comparable. I don't even know, because the pen, the nib is gorgeous. It's a great nib. It writes, I mean, yeah. I think the reason they came up with the swipe is because some people were struggling with, and I'm noticing the time. I'm paying attention. I promise I am. Where's my TWSBI? Well, go back to my fountain pen day, letter F day. I showed the TWSBI. I can't seem to find it on my desk right now. But I showed the TWSBI. It has what is called a piston filler. And newbies are sometimes intimidated by piston filler pens. And so I think this was their answer to that by creating one that was a cartridge filled pen where you could use a converter or a cartridge. And this is a really fat cartridge. It holds a lot of ink. And so this is called the TWSBI Swipe, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to give myself a gold star if I got that right. I think it's the TWSBI Swipe. Okay. So they have that. Comes in a bunch of different colors as well. What else would I say is a good beginner-friendly price pocket-friendly pen as well? Bank account friendly. You know, some pens that were kind of in my starting collection of pens, are these Pilot Metropolitan and Pilot Retro. They're a good pen, a good workhorse pen, but maybe they're more like $40 than 20 or 30. But these are like, I don't know the best way to describe it, like workhorse. It's Pilot. So Pilot Metropolitan or Pilot Retro would also be a good pen to look at. And then if you're just like, I don't even know if I want to write with a fountain pen, do I know how to hold it? I mean, there are some disposable fountain pens that aren't refillable. Pilot makes a whole set of them. I think they call them the, I can't remember the name of them. But the thing about those, you're never going to, if you're like, oh, they're scratchy. Well, that's because it's a disposable fountain pen. You have to get a pen that has a good nib to really know if that's what you want, right? So I'm just saying that what you pay for a pen oftentimes reflects, with the exception of the TWSBI and the Lamys, which is why I always start with those for people. Like, these are good beginner pens because they are good beginner pens with excellent nibs on them. And that's actually hard to find a lot of times, right? In a really cheap pen. So yeah, I mean, that's the best I got for you. Look up the Kaweco Perkio, the Kaweco Sport, the TWSBI Swipe, and maybe even the Pilot Metropolitan Pilot Metros. Those are also probably. And then, I have to be honest. I have this set of pens that I bought and gave to a group of women that were in a coaching program with me one year, that went to a retreat with me. And this is a brand called Jinhao, Jinhao. And this is their Swan pen. I don't know if they still make it. I'm sure they probably do. It actually has a really good nib on it. And it is, you know, it takes a regular old converter. In fact, I have a Jane Davenport ink cartridge in there. It takes a standard ink cartridge. I've got purple ink in there. And they actually write really beautifully. Like I write with this pen all the time. I have like 4 colors. I have a red one, a yellow, a white, because they came in a set. So these might, I'm glad I kind of looked over there and saw this one. This would actually be a really good, here's my red one. These would be a really good starter pen, I think, because I do think you probably can get like 10 of these for $30 or something, right? Not that you need 10, but so yeah, this is actually a really good nib pen. It's very light. It is plastic, but it still, I think it gets the job done in terms of, you know, deciding if you want to be someone that works with fountain pens. So there you have it. All right, last but definitely not least, put those away. And I want to end with talking about imposter syndrome really quickly here before we go. I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to talk about it. So imposter syndrome, and while I'm talking, why don't I was going to say, while I'm talking, why don't I fill a pen? Nope. That's not, because I can already see myself going down the rabbit hole. So instead, I'm just going to say imposter syndrome. First and foremost, I hear that term thrown around so much all the time. And I feel like it is based on this idea that if you don't know something, you shouldn't be talking about it or teaching it or showing it to people. I agree to that, with that to some extent. Right? Like if you don't know anything about brain surgery, I'm going to need you to not be teaching people about brain surgery. Like, yes, absolutely. However, I think there is merit, and I've done this before. And so this isn't me trying to justify my own actions, but I do believe that there is merit in saying to people, I'm going on this journey. I'm going to be teaching myself and learning this thing along the way. And I'm inviting you to join in on that. I think there's merit in naming that, in saying, I don't know anything about this really. I just know I'm intrigued by it and I want to go on this journey. I think that is merited in things like creativity. I don't think you should do that if you're coaching clients and working with people on their well-being, their mental fitness, I think you need to have experienced it yourself, maybe have some sort of certification, something you've done, some schooling, some education that helps you make sure you are taking good care of people. So I think there are places where if you're stepping into an arena or an industry and you don't have any background knowledge, you're not getting any certification, and then all of a sudden you jump out and you're like, hey, I'm a business coach. Hey, I'm a life coach. Hey, but you haven't actually gotten any support and foundation under you, I think that can be detrimental. Okay. I think that doing that can do more harm than good in the beginning, right? Yeah, you're going to learn as you go and you're going to learn what not to say and what not to do, but you're messing with people's lives. When we start talking about teaching somebody watercolor, like that's different. That's different than saying, I'm going to coach you to help you get your life back in order. To me, those are two different areas of life and working with people. Okay. So if you are like, hey, I don't know a lot about watercolor, but I'm on this journey to teach myself and learn and grow, and I invite you along with me, that's very different than saying, I don't know anything about coaching people, but I'm going to charge $5,000 per person and I'm going to coach some people. That makes me nervous. So imposter syndrome, I think a better way to really think about that if you are doing something that, like, an imposter is, if you go look up the word imposter, right? An imposter is someone who's pretending to be something they are not with malicious intent, or even if the intent is not malicious, what could potentially happen to people could cause harm. Okay, so now some of that is dictionary definition, some of that is Kiala definition, right? But the true piece that is from like the dictionary definition of the word imposter is that you are pretending, knowingly lying, deceiving people about who you are, what your credentials are, what you're able to do for them. That to me is when imposter syndrome is a real thing. But those of you who are like, I'm showing my art, but I feel like an imposter, I'm going to need you to find a new word for that, because I don't think you really are showing up and showing your art with the intent of deceiving people and trying to make them think you're something you're not. If you have sat down for hours, even if you sat down for 5 minutes and doodled something and then said, hey, here's my art, there's nothing about being an imposter in that. You're literally saying, hey, here's this thing I created, and here's what. So I think there should be a sort of redefining of this term imposter syndrome. I think what when people say it, they're coming from a place of like, I feel like people are gonna see me and not believe that I'm good enough to do the thing I say I'm doing. So some of that is about people's stuff. That's their stuff. If you're coming with pure heart, good intentions, and honesty, yeah, you're not an imposter. Now, if you drew something for the very first time and you say, yes, I spent years learning how to draw this and perfecting this, and now you're just lying. Like to me, imposters are lying about something, right? So I get the spirit in which imposter syndrome is talked about. I just think I want to challenge and urge and encourage people to stop using that term to describe you being fearful of what other people's judgment is going to look like. Because that's really what it boils down to. When I hear people saying, oh, I feel like I have imposter syndrome, I'm afraid to show up, and it's a fear of how other people are going to perceive you. That's not the same as you being an imposter trying to convince people that you're something you're not. So sit with it for a little bit. Sit with it for a little bit and see see how you can begin to redefine that for yourself. Some of you right now are amazing artists. You're amazing bookbinders. You're amazing watercolorists, acrylic painters, amazing knitters, crocheters, weavers, all the things, right? You draw beautifully. You do amazing pottery or ceramics. You are absolutely fantabulous at origami, or like I can sit here and name things on and on and on. You're amazing poets and writers. And you're holding yourself back because you're afraid of what other people will say. You're afraid of other people's judgment. And that fear is a compass. Don't wait until the fear is gone. You don't want the fear to be gone, actually. You want to be able to do it and still have a tiny bit of fear, because that fear is a compass for you. Fear shows us what we either need to be running from or running towards. Run from bears, run towards your dreams. Both have fear associated with them oftentimes. Run from a bear, run towards your dreams. Okay, that's my mantra for today. I'm gonna leave you with that. Run from the bears, run towards the dreams. Both have fear attached to them, and both likely conjure up this sense of the unknown. So sit with the idea of imposter syndrome, and before you use that term again to describe yourself, really ask yourself, is my intention to deceive others? I'm sure it's not. I hope it's not. And when you're ready, you know how to find me. I'm always ready. Over here, ready, willing, able, certified, certificated to work with you on lots of things. Everything from the coaching and through your creativity and through all your blocks and fears, and also through um, business as a business coach as well. So I'm always happy to be in conversation with you all around these things. But I didn't want to leave today without talking about imposter syndrome because that's a big one. All right, so now I'm going to go. All of you who are PPPers, we got to go. We got Kristen's class in 10 minutes. So I love y'all. Thank you for being here today. I love being able to talk about inks. I will come back and talk about intentions and idea overload and indigo on those last few days of the month once we run out of alphabets. Okay. Thank y'all. Thank you for being here. Much love to all of you. Don't forget to find some balance today and let your creative memories show up as well. Love y'all. Mwah. Bye.